something that you can do that I've really tried to implement in my life is like if you down.
Yeah.
Mental health walk. But just leaving the house, because sometimes I get
Yeah.
Dreams too big, aiming for the stars. Gonna paint the city pink, paint my skies.
Hi Sky family, welcome to Off the Clock with Sky. My name is Les Amang. Today I'm not alone. I have beautiful guests beside me. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Sanji.
Hi Sanji. Who are we with today?
My name is Maanatong.
Hi Kia.
And I'm Daka's Angel Sidiba.
Period. Government name. No, I love that. Okay, so today's episode is about tough luck, tough family. As you know, we don't necessarily choose the families that we're born into, and we end up being bound to the circumstances that we're in. So we're going to be exploring some of the issues that we've been navigating, not just as teen girls, but as young people in Botswana, right? Mm-hmm. So we've had a number of Sky girls write to us, and we actually have an advice question from a teenager today. Ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Alrighty. So it says, "Hi Sky Nation, I really need your help because I think my life is falling apart. Ke kwala form 5 and I don't know if I'm gonna pass. My home life is crazy. Tota, my parents divorced last year because my father was really abusive to us. And I think my brother's acting out about it and blaming our mom. My bunny, he yelled at me about a simple thing. He started breaking things in the house. He started drinking excessively and not coming home. And my mom cries about it all the time. I'm scared of going home sometimes, and I have so much anxiety that I can't even study. It's such a mess. Please help me." Yo?
Talk about hectic. Yeah, this is such a heavy thing.
It's a tricky one. I think just to start us off, I'd love for you to maybe find someone that you can confide in, whether it's a friend or an older figure, maybe a teacher that can redirect you to someone that can offer external counseling maybe. What about you guys? How do you think this person should navigate?
I think apart from trying to study out of the house, maybe try comforting their mother, because obviously their mother didn't choose this life either, as well as really trying to communicate their discretions, really, because sometimes if maybe you tell your brother that, hey, I don't like 1, 2, 3, maybe they'll drink less, or maybe your mother will care more, like pay more attention to the fact that, okay, no, let me not cry in front of my child, this is affecting her. Yeah,
I get you.
Yeah, and on top of that, like, even though it's very hard, like, if you cannot find anybody you trust, because the world we live in, Sham, you cannot trust anybody. If you don't trust anybody, like, a small journal can work for you. And also taking that negative energy and turning it into something great. Like, do something about it.
No,
you know yourself better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And I think they have to do other things to add happiness to their life, like joining school clubs, stuff like that. So I think like any sport, like table tennis, like it's a table tennis. Yeah, so I think they should.
Yeah, I think maybe if there's someone in town or maybe closer to their school who they can go live with, maybe I for just to get a breather, because sometimes you need to take a deep breath. Deep breath, I think, in the 2 weeks, I know what. So that, especially in exam season, so that they can really focus on their academics instead of having to worry about
I think that's beautifully said. I think something that I wanted to throw to the floor is, what else have you observed that might be affecting young people beyond maybe GBV, which we know is a terrible epidemic, so to say, in Botswana? What have we observed?
Hey,
at the top, hey? Yeah.
And you guys know, Reshapuka smoking.
Yes, ma'am.
So, drug and alcohol consumption, as she put it, Diphuka, is something that you find, no, I'm staying with Malome, I'm staying with auntie, or maybe even the parents themselves, they're using alcohol to cope with whatever woes they have. And they are now the kids in the home are suffering from that. So those are some of the things that I've observed. Something that I think is often overlooked would be chronic illness. you find gore you're staying with rakadi, or you're now staying with your grandma. I don't know if we have anyone that's had any close experiences that could maybe give us more insight into that.
Yeah, like I have had close experience. Like your lifestyle also changes to some extent. The way you eat, the way you usually interact with like being, it changes because of that person, those individuals by they have a chronic illness.
No, I get you. What about poverty? Some things that we experience, I call them diseases of poverty. You find gore, if certain people had enough money, they wouldn't be in the situations that they're in. So Maloba, I was at a conference and we were discussing the issue of people having children when they don't necessarily have the capacity to take care of them. And then the argument turned into you'd find those individuals that are vulnerable find themselves having more kids than people that have the capacity to take care of them. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the kids end up suffering from that. You find you don't have enough to eat, you don't have enough to share, you don't have enough money to buy clothes, for example, school clothes, the bare minimum.
I think I've recently witnessed that. I was in Letakeng for an outreach program, and the number of infants, like just under 10s there, are significantly more than the adults. You'll find, let's say we're hosting something, the number of kids who come are 5, maybe even 10 times the number of adults who come. Well, how many kids per person is that? Like, maybe, okay, of course you can encourage people, oh, condomize, oh, this, oh, that. But when we look at things in a certain way, a lot of the people there just gave up at Form 3.
Yeah.
So if they had the resources to really go the extra mile, pay for private tuition, or even just sometimes pay for those condoms over a long period of time, they wouldn't be having those kids. And now they're struggling with day-to-day things. I met a lady who had to move back in with her mother because at her house, she can't provide for her kids.
Yeah.
And she's recently had an infant.
Yeah.
So sometimes, but this time it's different because she can't even provide for her other children.
Society is failing them. You'd find instead of lending a helping hand, we are quick to judge, to say, now what are you doing, madam? Why aren't you protecting yourself? Why aren't you? But they don't have the capacity to do so. Emma?
Sometimes, I think someone raised the point while I was there that, but if you look at the environment here in villages, the only fun thing to do really is have kids. And it was a touchy topic. It was a touchy topic because I felt like, let's take a jog. Let's do this, let's do that. But obviously people see things differently. But that is another perspective that I wouldn't say I recognize as strongly as they may have, but it's a reality still.
But on that issue, I think the education system.
Definitely.
Like, for example, from a young age, you've been told, "Hore, you need an education so that you can be able to find a job." They don't say you need this education so that you can be able to go create something when you get out there. I think that's one mentality that needs to be gotten rid of from a very young age. Because the more you tell them, "Hore, you need an education to go get a job," they just give up. Like, literally give up.
Have an incentive.
Exactly. So I think like education system, it's very flawed. Teachers and other people out there, that motive right now should be, we are educating you so that you can go make something of yourself, so that you can go create jobs for other people. Jobs are not only limited to your academic capabilities. I think that's something that most people need to know about.
Yes.
The spark of creativity needs to be lit in everybody's mind from a very young age.
Yeah, and I think on top of that, I heard from one of the ladies who failed Form 3, she mentioned that in as much as I could go back and try again, which job am I going to do? I'll go and I'll work so hard to redo my Form 3 and then do my Form 5, sometimes multiple times even, and then end up as a cashier when I could have done that with the qualifications I had after failing Form 3. So I think the perspective you're taking is really good, because go create jobs, go do something, like to enable them to follow their passion, to pursue it is a really nice sentiment.
And on that, I feel like if more celebrities were to share their side of the stories, because most people see them when they're successful. They see the happy part, the success, like the soft
the
life.
flash, the glamour.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't see the sufferings behind them. Like, I feel like if more celebrities were to put their lives out, if they're comfortable, if they were to put their lives out there to show the suffering they had to go through
To get to where they
to get to where they are, how small they started. I love what Steve Harvey does. Like his story is really touching of how he started. Like if more people were to do that, many people right now, because not all of us are fans of comedy. Not everybody knows Steve Harvey.
I have no education. I ain't got a degree of any kind. What you see today is a boy that come out the bottom.
Exactly. So the small starts that they had, I think they could inspire a lot of people.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree.
And speaking of their small starts, if you look at them, most of them suffered a lot of these issues that we're going to touch on today.
Yeah.
Poverty, GBV, abuse,
alcoholism, and substance abuse as well. Yeah, I think that's very prevalent.
So insightful. I don't even know how to add on at this point. Another thing that I wanted to touch on, I think it coincides with what you guys were highlighting, is the issue of neglect, not just as we know it, but the issue of burdening older children, right? We've mentioned, okay, no, this lady came out, now she's here. You'd find in some homes, your oldest sibling now becomes your parent. Your oldest sibling is your breadwinner. Your oldest sibling is unable to progress in school because they've had to go and quit school and find a job to come and take care of you. So that's a reality that some of us are facing, and something I wanted to touch on very quickly.
Same, because I used to have a friend. She got into university, but she had to atogela school because she had siblings she had to take care of, because I don't know, but she had to be the parent mo bone. So no mo the rhyme said the school about the tiro ra khono bona madi and stuff.
I totally hear you.
Yeah, I think it's such a burden because generally, even if both your parents are present and they have 3 kids, the oldest sibling is still likely to be parenting the kids, still likely to be managing the younger ones. So I don't know if you guys have a way that they could cope, or the way they could go around that. But
I think to touch on that, the answer for me would be communication. Talking to that older guardian that should be in charge, that should be spearheading all of those roles, to say, kana ke ngwana, please allow me to live, or at least allow me to share some of the responsibility with you, rightfully so. So of course, approaching that can be tricky. We had some resources that I wanted to share. I think we each have something. Over here, I'm seeing Childline. That's 116 when you're calling. What do you guys have that side?
We have the Gender-Based Violence Center, the WhatsApp number, +267 74 265 081.
As well as their telephone number, which is 395 8014.
That's the Bilopele though.
Oh, yes, for the Bilopele.
Yeah, you were saying?
Another thing I've noticed is that even all the examples that we've been given, especially the first advice question, where first the abuser was the father, now it's the brother. I think a lot of the time when we look at, in all situations really, be it GBV, poverty, chronic illness, especially substance abuse, I feel, it tends to be a cycle. Sometimes people want to argue that, okay, fine, I have a genetic disposition that if I consume alcohol, I'm more likely to be an addict than someone who doesn't have an addict in their family.
Yeah.
But it also stems from the fact that when you grow up seeing something, you're inclined to do it. For example, if every first weekend of the month, I'm likely to do that when I'm older. If I've grown up around an addict, the chances are high. But at the same time, I still have the responsibility to try and hold myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's
Break the
beautifully
cycle.
said.
Yes.
To say, let it not be a generational trauma that we are now passing on to
Let's
our
break those
kids.
generational curses.
To not allow yourself to be a victim to your circumstances.
That's true.
Be that one to stop the cycle.
And on the advice question, I think it's important that the girl should talk to his brother. It is very important because what he's doing is practically what the father was doing. So if the sister can enlighten him and show him that what he's doing is not right, and it's the same reason why the mother left, then maybe the brother will change. Maybe he'll be able to build a future for himself. Communication is key in everything, and that's something that most people shall undermine. Like, it is very important to communicate, people.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
I think something that you can do that I've really tried to implement in my life is like if you down.
Yeah.
Mental health walk. Hot girl walk, but just leaving the house, because sometimes I get home
Yeah.
okay, get like na ke na lore ha le gore bang koma ntla bona lutletse ntla ke tla lo araba ke
When I'm
ka
calm.
walkong nyane. And then walk it tla nna lo
Moma 2 hours.
but I think the time you take to just take a breather, because sometimes o tla tsa breather we totletse mo room, but
Yeah.
hela just o ska utlwa batho ba ntse ba go emetse ba re kante ngwana o kae kante motho sa la rile he
Yeah.
take a walk, maybe sometimes take a jog. Now when I have problems I take a run,
Yeah.
so that in some sense I can run away from my problems. I mean, I'm coming back to them. Yes. Yeah, I'm coming back to them, but
Yeah.
at least, you know,
You're
I'm
coming
doing
back to
something that will really just relieve me of the stress, even if it's for a bit of time.
Beautifully said.
And guys, let's go see a good dijon, guys. Your health is important. Because you're going to wake up other conditions. So guys, as much as I love food, but don't put yourself at risk.
That's why I love the runs, because it's like a fitness girl, you know. Yeah.
Now, as for me, I use affirmations. You know, those affirmations on YouTube, they do help. Like, they help a lot. Yeah, a lot.
Meditating on
Yeah,
those
meditation,
affirmations as
yeah.
well. Looking in the mirror and saying, Whitey, I'm the girl.
I'm the girl. I'm the one. Like, I'm the
Sky
star.
girl.
Of course.
But yeah, something that I wanted to reiterate is that Sky is a sisterhood, right? So you guys shouldn't be afraid to reach out to us. Maybe we could assist in connecting you to mental health professionals, people that can better guide you in your situations, right? So that's at Sky Girls BW. Instagram, TikTok. We have a WhatsApp line. Remove spacing, right?
I think
We're everywhere,
another
guys.
thing we shouldn't forget is that Childline also has counseling services.
Right.
Other than, like, even if you're not in a particularly abusive situation, if we meet you can
call.
You can give them a call. You can set an appointment. Maybe look up once a week.
And guys, how's it happy about there are youth counselors out there?
Yes.
Because right, the excuse, like be excused and be like, no, they love you. The problem is just that no, like if you feel like adults are not working for you, there are youth out there, people who have experience, and maybe they can help you get through that
And relate better as well.
Yeah.
No, that was beautifully said.
Another thing I've noticed though is sometimes in the situations regarding poverty, which we've touched on today, is that people don't have the resources. I think a lot of what we see just generally being done either in media and just in real life, for example, sometimes spa donate a pad. Recently, I donate a fleece. Or sometimes people thinking about doing a soap drive because and that's something that we can overlook. You know what, I can get school and stuff like that. So how would you guys go about that? Like, what angle do you have on that?
Back in junior, we used to have like a classmate. And then as a class, okay, we have to let's do this. Let's say like a spare tie, a shirt, and then we did that. We gave the girl like a proper school uniform.
That is so
That's
sweet.
what we did.
Very, very
And on that, I remember, like, because I forgot, was it junior school or was it co-primary? There was a class that came together. One of the students, grasshopper, like literally. And like on that, like the important thing when doing it, like don't do it because you wanna show off or you want the credit for it. Like when you're doing it, you should do it genuinely. And if it's a must, you must do it in secret. Thing is spotlighting. Because for that person, then it's very hard for I reach out. There is nothing. It's not very easy for that person.
Charity case.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
So it's important when approaching such issues, run as secretive as possible because as sensitive as possible because guys, as much as Osena pride, Resena pride, Mare, at some point, to some extent, we have it. And it's important image it should be kept because like, as human as we are.
Yeah.
But now that classmate so abalwa le mongwe and then mothola ba tamara o ska lebala gore go kola ke tsidio tso ska lebala gore go netse dio tso and then we told him no, what you're doing is not right. Ha ba tshwana go ira yalo
kana ba ska ba go feel ke te ba go kolota.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because na re decide go dira like this wholeheartedly isn't gore o to feel go kolata motho kaneng.
Yeah. And also just the little things matter as well.
Yeah.
Sharing an extra pad in the bathroom. Little things like that. I mean, guys.
Kana tlaletsa motho gongwe o tswa gore ka ma fresh na tshotse 10 pula mo re head 2 pula ga go di
something.
Because I can't ma fresh ja 2 pula jaanong.
Inflation? Don't let me start talking. It's not relevant to today's topic.
You know, just the little things hala go nna mo tlaletsa kana gongwe le pagama khombi mo go gangwe bo mo duela la ile gangwe ka kgwedi. It makes a difference.
Yeah, it does.
Tricking.
Like us can no mind bona tla go gena na gore re kopa ntlaletsa madi a sepalamo kopa ntlaletsa madi a sepalamo because you don't know what that person goes through. But ba ardice ban have an excuse nya ho no ka gana ho mara there's that one person who missing le gore na go tseng go khana go tla go wena. Sometimes it's very okay mara ha nko mana go ardice. Those are the kind of people ba le gore you have to be understanding and open minded ha ba tla go wena.
And keep what's gore ardice king.
Hey, this other game na go tshameka mo calculator.
Living. I don't know anything. But yeah, guys, something that I wanted to highlight is that Sky is a sisterhood. If you see another sister, whether she's even in the Sky network or she's not, whether she's taken the pledge or not, find it in your heart to put yourself in a position to help if you can.
Be someone safe space.
Okay, exactly. So just, yeah.
I think before we wrap up, I'd like to repeat the contacts for help. Starting off with Childline at 116. Hello, Letsa, Udala 116. Developili at 395-8014. And lastly, Gender-Based Violence Center WhatsApp line being +267 74265
Period.
Yeah.
You've been listening to Off the Clock with Sky. My name is Les Evmang, your host with the most, and I've been with
Sanji,
and Gia, and
Angel.
Everyone say bye, Sky family.
Bye, Sky family.
Love it.
Dreams too big, aiming for the stars.